So we have completed this one, Lambda. Okay. So there is some concept called threading. I hope you guys would have read about this threading concept in your college time. Hopefully on operating system, I think. I also studied this concept. I really like this concept. So threading in Java, right? A thread is a lightweight a sub process and the smallest unit of processing. It is a separate path of execution. So let's say, okay, a thread is a lightweight sub processes and the small unit of processing. And then you can see this is a process. Inside the process, there are multiple threads are available inside the OS. Okay. So the process executing the multiple threads simultaneously is called as a multi-threading. Clear? And there are two ways to create a thread. One is by extending the thread class and the another by implementing a runnable interface. So let's see how we can do this one by one. So first process is using by implementing a thread class. So by implementing in the thread class means how we can do it. So the same, we need to open the Java. So let's open Java, Eclipse. We'll do sorry, we will see some two example how to work with this. Okay. Yes. So let me create. So already we have one collection class, sorry, project. So let me create here itself. Okay. So let me delete it. So create one new class. So first is by extending a thread class. Extends means nothing but we need to use a extends keyword. Okay. So let me create the class name to be the thread A. Okay. So thread A is my a class name. So next is I'm using an extends keyword. So what is the in the PPT you can see extending the thread class. So I'm going to use the extends keyword and then give a thread class here. That's it. Okay. So inside this, first a step to be to run the a process, right? So public void run off method. So what is this, run off method? So run off method is to perform the action for a thread. So that's why we are using this to perform an action for a thread. Okay. So that's why we are using this run method. Clear? And then next to this, let's write some, a method that is a statement. So let me give it as a thread is running is my statement. And next to this, so first to perform a action for a thread. So this is the first method. That next is I'm using a main method. So let's say for an example, I'm using a main method. So this is my main method. What is the class name? Use a super class name. And then A is equal to new of the thread A of. And then A dot start of. So what is the start of method? So start of method is nothing but example, if you know, whatever the thread is newly created, okay, that will be started using the start method. So this new thread start, um, so it moves from a new state to the runnable state. Okay. And then when the thread gets a chance to execute, it's target to the run method. So when it is ready to start or the process the thread, then it will move to the run method. Okay. So now we can execute this. You can see the thread is running. Okay. This is a very simple example. We can also see one more example for this using a runnable interface. What is called this runnable interface? Same thing. Okay, I'm just changing. So what is in the PPT? The second is implementing a runnable interface, right? So if here like implements runnable, clear? Implements and runnable. And here I have mentioned A. So in this place, we need to use a constructor that is thread runnable. We need to use a constructor here. We have mentioned. So here we have mentioned the class name. Okay, we have created a object, but instead of doing that, whenever you're using this implement runnable, you need to use the constructor thread. Okay, let's see constructor thread, and let me give B a new thread of. Here we need to pass the A value. So here we are giving the value of a runnable. Clear? So now we can use a B dot start of method to process the output. So now it is working for this runnable interface. There are two ways we can perform this one. Okay, clear? We can also create the object or a string name to perform this. If you want, we can also see one more example for both the things, how to work with this multi-threads. So let's see. Let's see one more example on both of this multi-threading. So let keep this same name. So first we will go with the extends keyword. Okay, first we will go with the extends keyword. And then extend means obviously we need to mention that to be a thread class, right? So this is runnable. So if there is some exception was happening is going to happen, then what we will do, we'll be using a try, right? Try exception. So to display the thread that is running. So let's say I'm creating a try exception inside this. Let me give a subtext. Let's say I'm mentioning a thread is my text. Okay, this is my string. Next to this, I want the value of the current thread, which a thread is currently processing on the OS. So that I should see. So how to see that? So just give a thread dot and then the method called a current thread dot. I want to fetch the ID, get the ID of that particular thread, which is running currently. Clear, students? That's all very simple. And if there is any exception was happened here, there is a error. Okay, let's complete this catch off. So inside the catch, I don't know what exact exception is exactly. I'm just giving an exception E alone. Okay. But in exception only, we used to provide the exact exception like arithmetic or null pointer or index out of bounds exception or a null pointer exception, whatever. So we'll be specifying, right? But in this case, I'm just giving the exception alone and throwing an exception. So the exception is caught. That's it. Very simple. So this, here I'll be mentioning exception is caught. That's all. So this is my one class. In the previous example, while we working with the extends keyword, um, we only used only one a class, right? Now we are going to use a two classes. So the same thing, let me remove this because it will be confusing for you. Okay. So here I'm just completing this class. This class is entirely closed here. I'm going to create the another main class. Okay. So public a class of, let's say, we'll give the a topic name or we can mention it as threads. Showing error. Okay, let's leave it. Then main method. Okay, inside the main method. Okay, inside the main method. So I want to loop it, right? So whenever I loop it, the logic, okay, once I give the logic, it will be looping and it will show the exact thread numbers which is running currently. Okay, so let me give it as integer and is equals to some value. Let's say I want to loop it for the number of threads I want to function is totally 8. Okay, and then to looping for if you know the exact iteration value, then obviously we'll be going with the for loop. So integer I is equals to 0 and I is less than n and I increment. That's all. Very simple. The next one is you need to use the name of the this class name. Using a class name, we can create an object now. So let's change this to some other name. Okay, I'm giving the class name. Let's say object is equals to new of threads. Okay, so then finally we can call the object like obj dot start of function. There is any exception, then it will show the exception is caught. So let's run this program. Extend. Main method not found in the thread DA. threads, right? Exception in thread main java dot lang error unresolved. So let me rename this better and give it as name instead of this. Could not find or load the main class. Okay, yeah, it is now processing. You can see. So you're given for 8 times, right? So that's why thread 18, 22, 21, 20. So these are the process the thread is processing so it given the exact ID of the current thread. Clear, students? I hope till this everyone is clear. So give me a minute. Okay, ma'am. So next is for a runnable interface. So runnable interface, that is implementing using a runnable interface. Same thing. We can change. There are two ways. That's it. There is no big change in this. Let me change this to implements and runnable. Okay. And inside this, we have given everything is going to be similar. Okay. But if you come down, the one process we need to change what it is. In this place, we should not directly give the that is a super class name. Instead of that, we need to use a thread class name. Okay, thread class object n equals to new and thread a, that is thread class. Inside this, you are going to use a new keyword of the class name, or else you can create it like this. Either way you can do it. Okay, either you can create have this thread a object 1 is equals to new of thread a. Okay, and later to that you can copy this and paste it here. You can do this, or you can use a new keyword and call it here. So both will be the same thing. Let's run this program. So there will be no error. You can see the thread numbers has been changed. So this is all about a multi-threading. Why we are going for the multi-threading. Next, we can see about Java Lambda expression. So what is Java Lambda expression? Lambda expression is used to provide the implementation of an interface that as a functional interfaces. Okay, it says a lot of code, and in case of Lambda expression is nothing but you might have seen this same expression that is the arrow function, right? In JavaScript, the same concept. Clear? It in the case of Lambda expression, we don't need to define the method again for providing the implementation. Why use a Lambda expression? to provide the implementation of functional interfaces and less coding. Java Lambda expressions. What are the different expressions we have to define this? One is called as a no parameter syntax. Okay. So no parameter means the first one is going to be the argument. That is this is the parameter, and here we don't have any that is argument value and arrow mark, and you can define the parameter, the body. Sorry, that is your lambda body. And next is one parameter. What is one parameter? So one parameter means there will be one parameter inside this, and two parameters mean two parameters inside this. That is inside the argument. Okay. So this is the denotation, arrow denotation, and lambda input parameters. And finally, what is the logic you will be writing inside this lambda function? Clear? So now we can move on to the example. So how to use this lambda expression? Clear? Let's see one by one. First is without. Let's say is a PPT. Okay. So here the first parameter, let's say without no parameter means an empty parenthesis, and you can define something inside this. How? For example, system dot out dot println, and what you want to print for the output. So this is the first one, and the second is going to be the second thing is going to be I will be using a parenthesis inside, and then here we can give a system.out.println value to print the value here. Okay, so these are the some example. Let's see in an Eclipse. So how to run this program? Okay, let's see one by one. So first is with one parameter. So if you are going to define with one parameters and without a parameter also, we can see one example. Same thing. So let me remove this, and I will add the new class name. Let me give the name to be Lambda. Okay, so Lambda is a class name. It is not a predefined class name. So we already know about collection, right? So using a collection, I'm going to give one example. So in this example, I'm going to mention a parenthesis inside this parameter. Okay. So first, let me create a main method. So inside the main method, I'm going to use a array list of class, and similar data type. I need a data type of integer. Okay, and then let's give a, and use equals to let's import the package. It's done. So the next is I'm going to add a value. So how to add a value? A dot add of some value numbers. T A dot add of and T. Okay, it goes on like this. And using a lambda expression, we are going to print all the elements. So how we can, but in the previous case, we'll be using a for loop, right? But here, let's say I'm using a dot Okay, I'm using a dot, and for each loop, inside this for each loop, what is the way to represent this? So first one going to be the argument list, right? So I'll just give the syntax. So here this is called as a argument list. And next is going to be your arrow token. And next third one is going to be a body of lambda. Here that's it. So argument list and arrow token and then body of lambda. Clear? So these are the three values we need to give. So now we can move on to the coding. So using the for each loop, what are the things we can give? The first one is argument list. In argument list, I want to pass a value, so I need a parameterized one. Okay, and the arrow token, and finally your body of lambda. So what it should print? It should print all the numbers which is available in the collection, right, in the list. So let's say system out.println, and inside this, let me give the value, um, giving it as n. That's all. Clear? So it will loop together and it will print the value. So using the lambda expression, again, to print even numbers, if I want to print the even numbers, this is just to print the element. Print the element. And if I suppose to print the even numbers, even element, then what is the case? So again, the array, that is a dot, and for each loop, okay, inside the for each loop, let's say what is the first one? The first is going to be your argument list. Argument is very simple. I will be getting a single value, so n, and arrow token, and then system.out.println. Finally, you need to give the value, right? But in between, what's going to be happen? So here, I need the even numbers, right? So even numbers means if n a modulo 2 equals to 0. That's all, very simple. Clear? This is our, here we can mention the that is en value. And why we are getting error? So this will closed here. That's all. So now we can execute this program. You can also give a name inside this. Print even numbers. Sorry, print all numbers. Here I can change this to print the even numbers. That's all. So let's run this program. Here you can see print all the numbers. It is printing all the numbers. But if I need a even numbers, it is only printing the even numbers. So one is not a even number, so it has been skipped. Clear, students, how to apply this lambda expression? Because actually, if you are attending an interview, most probably they will be asking more questions from Spring, and this lambda expression is very, very important if you are attending the interview for Angular and all. Okay, Angular, this is essentially used. So next the concept, the same thing, but if I try to use two parameter value, then how it is going to be? Let me So better we can use it here itself. Let's try. I'm giving like A, comma B. And then print the value of A plus B. Okay, already we have a A, right? So entirely we need to change here because what we have to use, ma? Can anyone tell me like what can be done here? So we can also use this map concept, right? We can give it as a key and value pair. So we can go with a very simple example with this, multi parameters. Can I got a call once again? Okay, let's try with the different one because this multiple parameter we can be achieved. Yeah, it can be achieved easily. So let's take a different thing, the basic example without of this collection. I don't want to confuse this collection. Okay. So already we have a main method. So I'm just printing one a message. Okay, that is I'm going to use a one more class. Let's say I have a class private static class message. Okay, this is my class name. Inside this class, I have something called as public void print string integer. Okay, I want to print the string integer. For that, I need some arguments inside this. Let's say I'm giving a string str, comma integer number, comma, and then by consumer string, comma integer. Okay. So after this, I'm giving the variable called my by consumer. Okay, so these are the argument I have added for this particular method. Let me open the declaration part. So inside of this block, I will use one method. Okay, using this parameter. So actually, this is a Java util function. Okay, so I'm using this function. That is where variable name and dot accept of str comma number. So just understand the concept alone. Okay. So now the next step is I'm using this class name and I create a object. Okay. O is my object, new and message of. And next to this, what I can do, O dot. And what is the method I want to call? I want to call this method, right? Print string integer. So I'm going to give some certain values. Okay. So what are the certain values? That is a argument list. That is two things I need. One is string and the another one is integer. And the third one is going to be a string and integer. That is by consumer. So let's say a Java, comma 75, comma string str integer number of. Okay, I have as of now, I have given the argument list. And next is what? Arrow, token, and finally your statement, what you're going to print it. Okay, so let me give the argument to be, that is the statement. I want print the str and the number, right? So this is a str plus, let me also add some space. I'm adding some space and then plus, let me give a name. Version of 9. Sorry, that is number. Clear? I hope there is no error. Okay. So I hope you guys have understood so how to add a two argument list in a single way. It is in a lambda expression. So now you can see the string also added and the number is also added. Clear everyone about lambda expression? Any doubts, any questions? I'm little fast, students. I'm sorry for that because we need to complete the portion. Just to confirm, have you understand till this? Any questions? Can we move on to the annotation part as of that is now we have completed the lambda expression and the another one is multi-threading. So we are going to learn about annotations. Any idea about annotation? What is annotation? So what is called annotation? So if we complete this, then we can move on to the server-side scripting. Let's learn about the annotation part. Any guesses about annotation, ma? No one? Okay, I don't know. Let's see. I think Varshita is typing something. Let's see what she's saying. Provide a way to add metadata to our classes and methods. Okay, fine. Great. That is right. Sometimes most of them would say like annotation is like a command, but it is not like a command. It's like a metadata. So let's understand what it is. We'll move on to the PPT, the better understanding. Collection we have completed. So now we are in annotation part, right? So let's see what is Java annotation. Annotations are used to provide us supplemental information about the program. And this annotation would start with what? It starts with at symbol. An annotation do not change the action of the compiled program. You cannot do anything with the compiled program. Annotation helps to associate the metadata to the program element. So these are the hierarchy of the annotation in Java. So the package which we need is java.lang.annotation and standard built-in annotation and custom build annotation. So if you want to create a custom build annotation, then you need to mention it using a interface. Okay, using this only we can create a custom annotation. So what are the general purpose annotation? That is override and deprecated and safe bad arguments, suppress warning and functional interfaces. And meta annotations are inherited, documented, target, retention, and repeatable. Let's see one by one. Deleting this file. Okay, so annotation is a class name. Now we just have an idea. What is this annotation? Okay, annotation is nothing but it's a metadata. Okay, so for our program source. And then how it will be started? It will start at like at and then annotation name. To mention the annotation name. So this is how we'll be representing it. So they provide the additional information about the program to the compiler. Okay. Gives an additional information about the program to the compiler. Clear? But they are not a part of the program. Clear? So now we can see one example of what is this annotation is first of all. Okay. So there are different annotation formats are there. So what are the different annotation formats? 1 minute, ma'am. Keep on getting a call. 1 second. Sorry for the delay. Yes. So annotations, if you see, this annotation may also include the elements like members and attribute and parameters. So how we can add it first of all. So first is called as a format. Okay, this is the first format, marker annotation. So in the marker annotation, let's see how to define this. So the example is nothing but you need to mention at and then annotation name. Okay, this annotation does not contain any kind of, it won't, do not contain elements or parentheses. Can be excluded. Clear? So that's all. So this is annotation name. Like this you can give. Okay, there is no parenthesis. That is, sorry, here we don't have any parentheses and elements. So it will not contain anything. So next type is called as a single element annotation. What is the single element annotation? So it contains only one element. Okay. So how it will be presented at annotation name, and then inside this parameter will be having a element name. So element name equals to the element value. That's all. And next is called as a multiple element annotation. Multiple element annotations. So what is this called? So it will have a multiple elements inside this annotation. So values, the same thing. Let me copy this. But here I will change this to element 1. So this is going to be value 1 and element 2. Yes, ma. And element 2, and it goes on like this. Okay. You can give the multiple annotation. Next is annotation. So this is a what are the different types of format we have. So next type, the next thing is annotation placement. So where exactly I need to place the annotation. So placement. So annotation placement. So first is above a declaration part. So above the declaration part, we can mention this annotation. And there are types of annotations we have. Like example, there are something like type of annotation. Type of annotations are two types. One is a predefined, and the another one is called as a is predefined, and the another one is meta annotations. Okay, so these are the two annotations we have, and the last one we'll call it as is what? Third one, C is custom annotation. This is called as a custom annotation. Clear? So how to define and how to work with this predefined and meta annotation? We'll see some 2 to 3 examples. First, we'll talk about. So if you want, also you can look into this. First one is we are going to see about a predefined annotations. In that, there are a lot of annotations we have under this predefined annotation. First, we will see about at deprecated annotation. What is called? This is called as at deprecated. Undeprecated annotation is a marker annotation that indicates the elements, that is something called as class or method or fields, etc. is deprecated and has been replaced by the newer element. So for that reason, we are going for this. Sorry, ma. Someone is saying something I didn't get you what your. So deprecated. Okay. So first is called as a deprecated. So how to use this deprecated? Let's see one example. So already we have a class, right? So inside this class, let me create one method. Example, public static void. I'm giving a method name. So you can give whatever the method name you want. A deprecated method. So this is a deprecated method. So I'm going to mention this is going to be a deprecated method. Where? So above the method name. So at deprecated. That's all. Clear? So see here it has been underlined that this method is going to be deprecated. Clear? System.out.println. Inside this, I'm just mentioning deprecated method. Next is I will create a main method. Here, I'm just trying to call the deprecated method. Whatever I've mentioned here, I'm just going to call this method in this main method. See here. So it is showing like it is a deprecated method. Whatever we have given, so this showing. I hope you guys got so why we are going for this annotation part. So next is in a deprecated, there is predefined annotation. You're going to see about override. What is this called as override? Mainly, if there is a same method name which is given in the two different classes. Okay, so at the time we need to mention this override method. Okay, so to avoid this is actually specifies the method of a subclass. Okay, subclass will override the method of the superclass with the same method name, then return type and the parameter list. So it is mandatory to use at override when the overriding method, when we are overriding a method. Okay. So if we use it, the compiler gives an error if something is wrong, such as a wrong parameter type while overriding the method. So that's why we are using this at override annotation. Let's see an example. Um, First is, let's take this is my superclass. Okay. I'm going to write one method. Let's public class start. The method name is going to be start. Sorry, public void start. And next, inside this method, let's define some content. This is a super class. Next is after completing this super class, you're moving to a subclass. Subclass called B. I'm going to override the method which is already there in the superclass. For that, let's use a keyword called extends keyword and annotation. Clear? If I use the same method in this place, then I will be using a add override annotation. So this will avoid the error if there is something, parameters or any kind of, execution is happening. So it will avoid the the part that is your, compile error will be, uh, so something if it is wrong, then the compiler gives an error. Okay, that's why we are going for this particular at override. And I'm creating one more method. Let's say public void um, output. Okay, so in the output, I'm going to call this method. And finally, in the main class, I'm creating a main method and call the, that is use the subclass object. What is a subclass? Subclass is B. So B, using B, we create an object is equals to new B of. Clear? And then object dot, what is the method we need to call? So we are going to call this method. Okay. So it is showing like this is a subclass. So it is overridden. Clear with this annotation? What is called as, override. The next annotation, it is called as predefined. We call it as at suppress warnings. So what is this called at suppress warning? This annotation actually instructs the compiler to suppress warnings that are generated while the program is executes. Okay, so that is sometimes it will force any particular method or the element to be executed, right? So other time we can go for this at suppress warning annotation. Okay, it will just instructs the compiler what to do. So that warning can be, suppressed or compiler specific, but there are, two categories of warnings. Either it going to be a deprecation or it going to be unchecked. That's all. Okay, clear? Yeah, we will see one simple example on this. Let me remove all this. Yeah. So first I will use a method, main method. Instead, so before creating a main method, I'm going to deprecate one method. Okay, so public static void deprecated method. I'm going to deprecate. So obviously, what is the annotation at deprecated is my annotation name. Correct. So inside the statement, uh, sys println deprecated method. And before this main method, I'm just, instructs the compiler. There is some warning. Okay, at suppress warnings. Inside this we have two types, right? One is deprecated or the another one is unchecked. As of now, what we have done a deprecated. So let me give the value to be. So within the codes, you need to mention deprecated. Clear? So this is, did I miss anything? Yes, suppress warning deprecated. And you can use the class name, create an object, new annotation of, and then object dot the deprecated method. That's all. That's all. Clear? The next one is the another predefined method, that is a predefined annotation is going to be at safe rags. I'll tell you what it is. 1 minute. So today is Wednesday, right? We'll be coming on Friday. Okay, let's see the another predefined annotation. So that is called at safe brags annotation. So what is this annotation? So this annotation, um, either it's going to be a method or a constructor, but it does not perform any unsafe operation on which particular things? Variable. Okay, that is variable and the arguments, number of arguments. So this should be a very safe. To make it safe, we are using this particular annotation that is called as at safe varchs. Okay. We can only use this annotation on method or constructor that cannot be overridden. We cannot do the overridden part. Okay, clear? So let's do this annotation part. Okay, ma'am. So first we can create the method name because we need to use this for the variables and arguments, right? So I'm creating a method. Let me give a private void. So as we already know the access the modifier, you can just understand so why we are using this access modifier. Okay, so display list is a method name, and inside of this I'm mentioning the list, that is collection. I need a data type of a string. Okay, and I'm giving the list. Clear? So this is going to be, I think, whether because this java.util, yeah, today it is working. Okay, inside of this, I'm giving a loop statement to print all the whatever the data we are going to give it in the main method. So let me create a list. Okay. So here also we can add string. So this is just a looping statement, and I'm just looping to print the value of list. So the value is what? The value is going to be string. So we'll see why we are using this. Okay. And next, this is a normal function, a normal way of creating the list. So next is main method. So in the main method, I'm going to create an object using this annotation class. So object is equals to new of annotation. And here, let me give the list string. And I'm creating a variable, that is a variable name, university list is equals to the arrays dot as list. Let me give some content here, some two argument. Mm, just giving alpha. Sorry. Okay, these are the two text I'm just giving. And then later to that, I need to call this method, right? So what is the object name? Object name is obj. Bj dot, and the parameter I'm going to mention as university list. Next, also, let me copy the same thing, but here I will change to some languages. The argument is here, and in the as list, let me add Spring Boot, Angular here. So that's all. If you run this program, you can see the output is working fine. But in case if there is any error or something was happening, there is some warnings will be occurring. You can see the warnings, right? What is the warning? Potential heap pollution via the variable arguments parameter list. And then here you can see what is the warning. A generic array of a list string is created for the variable argument parameter. To avoid this warning, just go to the method name. Above the method name, you can mention at safe where arguments. So now you can see the warning has been removed. Okay, clear, students, about this at safe arguments. I hope you guys are clear. So next we can move on to the custom annotations, how to create a custom annotation. Why I'm stressing all these is because you guys will have this kind of annotation in the Spring Boot. If you don't understand the annotation concept, then you will not be able to create a project using Spring Boot. Okay. On the final day, sorry, on the before final day, I will show you how to, run the program or the connection between React.js with Spring Boot, and also the database. Okay. So based upon that, you can also do the project. So everything I'm teaching, each and everything one by one. Why? Because you guys have to understand and you guys have to get place. That is my only motto. The list is custom annotation. I hope you guys were discussing about the group names and the group list of groups. If you're ready with your group members, you can just put it in the chat box. I will make a note of it. Clear, students? Next is custom annotation. Let me remove this custom. For the custom annotation, how to give the name for this custom annotation. Custom annotation, the syntax. Students, give me 1 minute, okay? Okay. Okay. So for this custom annotation, what is the syntax? Syntax is very simple. Let's see. Access specifier. So you need to mention the access specifier and then at interface. So this is mandatory to create the annotation, and then you can give the annotation name. Clear? And inside this, we can give a data type, method name, and then default value. Clear? So now we can see how we can create the annotation part. So first is let me create a simple method. Okay. So let me create a methods or a class. So already we have created a class, right? So inside this class, let me create a method. So public void method and system.out.println test method 1. Okay. And next to this, let me create a main method. Inside the main method, what is the class name? So class name is this, and I'm creating an object. So new annotation of. Okay. And object dot, I'm calling this method. So this is done. For example, I want to create a new, there is a custom annotation, then how we can do it. So to do that, first step is this one. So at interface annotation. So let me copy this. So what is the annotation name? You can give whatever the name you want. Let me give it as custom annotation. So it should be, Pascal case. So let me change this to custom annotation. And inside this, let me give the string data type and the value method. And then default value. And in this program, you can see the value has been printed. So this is how we'll be creating a annotation part. Clear? Clear about this one? And there are the other meta annotations also there. So we don't want to get into deeper, but I'll tell you what are the meta annotation. So, so meta annotation is nothing but it will apply it to the another annotation. Let's say retention, and then there is something called as documented, and then at target. So it goes on like this at inherited. Okay, these are the meta annotations. Clear till this, everyone? So I hope we have completed annotation parts. So we have completed Java exception, types of exception, Java exception, and exception handling, try and catch, threading, collection, Lambda, and annotation. So now this is a quiz time. Predicting the amount of rainfall in the region based on the various cues is a thrown problem. And what will be the output of the Java program? So this is simple. The answer is going to be world. So why? Because this will be the error. If this is the error, then output will be printed as world. Right? The exception will be shown. Which version of Java introduced annotation? Java 5. And which of these method deletes all the elements from invoking the collection? That is called as a clear method. What is the use of try and catch? Try and catch, it allows a manual handle the exception, it allows a fixes the error, and it prevents the automatic termination. Okay, these are all. So all of the mention is the correct answer. So now we can spend some time on the project. Okay, project